Namaste to all. Today, I would like to share some important and probably new information with my fellow teachers who are dedicated to and committed to help children to come up in life. I just read a book titled Quantum Teaching. I was thrilled to read the whole book. When I read the book, I got one information which was not, I never thought of that so far. That is, teacher-student interactions transforms energy of both the teacher and the learner into radiance. I think this sentence tells that we as teachers spend a lot of energy in the classroom, and students also spend their time from morning till evening in the school listening, writing, reading, and all these things. That means a lot of energy is spent every day. If you remember, on a nice morning, after 40 minutes, when you look at children after you are teaching, if they smile and if they show joyfulness, that means the radiance has come. So the quantum teaching tells that every teacher who goes to classroom must try to orchestrate all the environment available in the classroom to make children become radiant or joyful. That is the message I got from the book called Quantum Teaching. In the next few slides, I will just give you some information which you are already doing, but maybe you can review that and try to improve your own teaching and help your students to prepare them for life. As I said earlier, committed teachers use their knowledge, experience, skills, and articulate curriculum to give their best to students in any environment and make students achieve success in learning. This is what many committed teachers in our country or elsewhere in the world will be doing it. Somehow the research has supported that. So research also gives methods to help students to succeed in their course, in their life. One such recent book I read is Quantum Teaching. The word quantum fascinated me to know what it is. So I read the book. It is nothing but body of knowledge and methodology that shows how to orchestrate, how to manipulate, how to change the environment, atmosphere in the classroom to the success of students by taking into account everything in the learning environment, in that learning community of students. So quantum teaching tells that whatever the energy we spend in teaching should be made children experience joy and brilliance in their face, what we call radiance. Sometimes we call it glee. So the entire research is based to explain to us how we can orchestrate our classroom environment. Orchestrating success means what? We teachers present content in a way that engages and energizes students. Integrate academic, social, and spiritual skills which help in enhancing their life into good life. So normally we teach content in the classroom. Teachers who teach content like me, for example, biology, normally I would not have thought of social skills, spiritual skills, or communicating skills in about 15-20 years ago. But today, in today's classrooms, every teacher has to integrate academic matters, social skills, especially communicating skills, collaborative skills, and even spiritual skills, how to calm down our own self in occasions that has to be taught. And then atmosphere refers to the mood of the classroom. Sometimes we teacher enter into the classroom with a fear, with a angry face. Sometimes children talk to them and say this teacher is very strict, and so when we want to get into the classroom they will exhibit a kind of a fear. So all this will include atmosphere. So we should try to see a good atmosphere is there as we enter into the classroom. Foundation refers to the belief the children have in the school, the belief children have in the teacher. All these things should be made positive to children. That is the way we have to orchestra our teaching. Design. Our teaching methods should be able to help every child in the classroom to show radiance at the end of the class. That means we may have to change our language, we may have to change the content, its wordings, all these things we have to change. And environment refers to the entire classroom, how the children sit down, how their benches or the chairs are organized, how the blackboard is there, whether we have any whiteboard, any smart classroom, all this refers to environment. So all these things to be managed in such a way that at the end of the class, child goes with a smile and with a radiance. And that is what quantum teaching tells us in its own way. I just used the word quantum teacher just to emphasize that whatever we talk in the classroom should be clear. You have seen, I have seen in many occasions when a teacher talks, children will not be able to listen in the last bench, or the intonation, what the teacher talks, the volume of the words or this talk he does or she does, sometimes may be very low, sometimes may be very high. Pacing of words. Sometimes we as teachers, in order to see the curriculum is completed, we utter maybe about 30 or 40 words per second, and that has to be done. So a quantum teacher tries to orchestrate all these things in such a way that it suits every student in the classroom. It is not very difficult. I have tried this in a village school. After reading the book, it is quite possible that every child will be able to learn whatever we are going to teach in that period. When once we start manipulating, orchestrating and adjusting our speech, our talk, our design, our content, all these things we have to change. And then teacher understands the students. When you say a quantum teacher, that means that teacher tries to understand the students before he teaches. Theirs to ours, that is the word used in quantum teaching book. Theirs to ours means whatever students want, have their culture, their belief, their level of understanding, all these things we will have to know before we teach anything. How many of us we do this is not known to me. But after reading this book, I felt there is a need for me. When I go to class 6, I must know if there are 25 children, I must know their background, their family background, how many of them are educated in their family, how many of them are ordinary children. All these things, if you know, that means theirs to ours, their information to us, and students understand their teachers. That means ours to theirs. When once the children know how we teach, what is our mood, what is the way I talk, they understand and they also try to adjust. So by doing this kind of regulation, we will be able to make children go joyfully home after their day's work. That's what quantum teacher does. I hope every committed teacher does this. If not, we have to try to do this in our classrooms. One important idea I got from reading their book is the writer of the book, D. Porter et al., they have shown 7 keys of excellence. That means 7 important key means ideas. If you practice that in the classroom, that leads into excellence, to make learning joyful, to bring the radiance in the learners. Which are those 8 key points? One is integrity. That means trust. We have to make our children to trust us by our authenticity of the content, by our way of doing things. That is the integrity. And once children know that we can be trusted, that is integrity. Commitment. As a teacher, I have to commit myself to tell when I go to class, every child must go home with a happiness. That would be my commitment. And then failure leads to success. Sometimes due to the atmosphere in the classroom or due to some disturbance, we may not be able to do that, but we may have to try again and again to see every lesson. At the end of every lesson, children show brilliance, show glee, show joyfulness in their learning area. Ownership. Anything goes bad in the classroom, I, as a teacher, I have to take ownership on that, reteach it. If the children do not show in their face they have not learned something, then accept that, reteach it, redo it, change the words, manage the words, etc. All this you have to do it. Speak with good purpose. We should never try to tell a child, you are not learning well, you are weak. So this kind of talks is not encouraged. Therefore, we have to talk with a good purpose. Flexibility. When we go to classroom, sometimes we say we want to complete so much of portions and then we go in a hurried way. That might not lead a child to be happy. They will go with a grumbling, or they may talk to the friend telling that I did not understand that, the teacher is very fast, etc. So you should look at their face, you should look at their gestures and be flexible. And this is it. That means present moment. In that moment of learning, whatever you do, it should be helpful to a child to learn that and show joy in their face. Balance body, mind and spirit. That means as a teacher, I should be able to, my body movements. How do I stand? Where do I stand? How much I talk? What is that I have to do? My mind. That means whether I will be calm, cool, or I will be able to get angry. All these things. And spirit means you should show that you are highly having energy, you are ready to help children, and that kind of spirit we have to show. So if we practice these 8 of the key, what they call keys of excellence, I think that will be useful. I tried that in my class in one of the village schools. It helps. In the beginning I did not do much, but after some trial I was able to apply these ideas in the classroom. I could see children become quite friendly. They were happy. They were laughing, learning. Interactions are more in the classroom. Here, I did not use the word committed teacher or a good teacher. I used the word a quantum teacher. A quantum teacher is one who follows all the eight key points what I discussed in the previous one. He believes that everything in the class helps a child to learn. The environment, tone of the talks, every word we utter, every action I do, every association I go with the child, sometimes silence, listening to children, writing on the blackboard, my dress, my talk, my gesture, all will help children and it will give meaning to children. So when you ask sometimes a child today what happened in the classroom, some children may say today teacher was very angry. He did not talk. So even if you don't tell that, that will give a meaning to the child. Therefore, we must be very careful in our classroom because everything that happens in the classroom will make impression on the child. A quantum teacher believes that he should be able to do a good job by practicing 8 key of the excellence of teaching. Sometimes in the classroom, you have seen children sitting in the way they like. Now we have to teach them how to sit in the class. They have to bend their body in such a way they move forward near the desk, and that will make them to focused for listening. If they don't focus on listening, then 50% of the learning goes away. Make them lean forward to make notes, to look at you. Encourage them asking questions, getting doubts cleared. Ask them to nod if they don't understand, or if they nod yes. Sometimes nod is very difficult in India. Sometimes this is okay, this is not okay, like that. So try to teach them some kind of a gesture to show that children have not understood, or make them to raise their hand and tell them to repeat, ask them to repeat whatever they want. Give clarification if confused. All this a good committed teacher will do. I'm just expressing it only to reinforce those people who would like to practice and become better teachers. Give tasks for reading and concept mapping. These are the tools that help them to remember and put them into memory. These are all the learning tools. They will tell learning how to learn. Reading helps them to learn. In the class, make them to read. Concept mapping you can try to discuss and help them in notes making. Make them to read the notes. Ask questions, make them to ask questions. Explain what you want to do. Make a child to explain, and then let them oppose each other sometimes when they did not understand. So all these things teach communication skills to children, which is very important, and it will help listening to people with patience and acceptance of the good or bad answers, and then debate it. And then by doing all this, they will be working together as a team. That is an important social skill for that, which the quantum teaching explains in their book, that these are the skills, learning skills we have to attempt in our daily, everyday 40 minutes classroom. Again, you may ask, what is quantum teaching? I tried to look at dictionaries, Wikipedia and all. I did not get any proper idea. So I purchased the book paying about 2000 rupees. Then I learned that quantum teaching is nothing but a body of knowledge, methodology used to design teaching that suit all students. And it is based on many principles like accelerated learning, multiple intelligence, NLP, that is neuro-linguistic program, experiential learning, cooperative learning, elements of effective instruction. All these things put together, Bobby D. Porter, Mark Riordan, Sarah Singer, these people wrote a book called Quantum Teaching. I am not recommending the book you to buy, but if you read that book once, you may change your method of teaching. I have done almost 58 years of teaching. Still, I feel reading that book helped me a lot. So young teachers might be able to get these ideas in the Wikipedia, or you may buy a book, then try to see what best we can do to improve your own teaching, to help children to have school education, especially 5, 6, 7, 8 periods, which will help them to have a good life in future. I am grateful to the authors of Quantum Teaching textbook, and I purchased this book mentioned above. I learned ideas, practiced some. I felt others can benefit from some of these points, and I hope and you will understand what I said. It's only because these days you know how important it is for a teacher, especially when you go to classroom. We know how much of trouble a teacher takes to teach in the classroom. So for this 21st century classrooms, unlike our classrooms are very different, students are very different. Therefore, you must be able to learn new ideas, new techniques, and new ways of helping children to learn. Therefore, I made this video not to say that I have done the best, but only to help you so that you can also try new methods in your classroom. Thank you all.